All right, we're on. So, welcome back to the show. This is, you might have heard me mention the name DJ Jimmy B. He provided my music for the audio. It's my uncle, my mother. You all heard my mother on Christmas. This is her brother. And Jim, he goes by. We were just talking a few minutes ago about how I would spend weekends with you during the summertime,
I remember.
give my mother a break. And one time I remember you being you were on the radio and you took me into, I think it was MIT. You took
Yeah, WMBR.
WMBR, and
Yeah,
it was great because yeah, I got to sit in the back row while you were doing your show for a couple hours. I got to sit out back and play whatever I wanted. I felt like king of the world for the day. Now, how long did you actually DJ? Because I was younger at that time.
Well, I was
Well,
at
we all were, but I
I
mean,
was at WMBR for I came there in the mid '70s and I left for a couple of years and then I came back. And when I tally it all up, it's somewhere between 20 and 25 years. So let's say conservatively 20 years I was there.
okay, that's a long time. Did
What?
you? I mean, was it always? I mean, did you want to be the next Howard Stern? I know you didn't really talk. You spun records. What kind of music did you play? If I remember correctly, it was like groove, soul, blues, or something. Is that am I off or am I?
Well,
You know better than I would.
you're getting there, I played. Well, I started out playing obscure records that didn't get airplay back in the day, but I felt deserved to be heard by a larger audience. So my aim was, frankly, to be the guy who played the records you'd never heard, but you'd like the records anyway. So I was kind of thriving on being, Mr. I discovered this and here it is for you to listen to. That way it was a sort of an ego trip, but I really enjoyed it because I love pursuing records. I just love it. I still do it. You can see behind me
I was
boxes
gonna
and
say I
boxes
see him in the
of
background.
45s, and I've narrowed everything down, so I've got like I'm just that's my thing. One of my things anyway. Yeah. So I still
Now,
do.
when you say, did you play like songs from like James Brown you wouldn't hear, or would the artist have to be obscure as well, or did it matter?
Well, I didn't have that strong criterion, but if it was an artist you knew, I'd play a song that you probably didn't know by them. That was what I do. Oftentimes, if it was a 45, which is what I collected a lot, I would play the flip side of the 45. You didn't hear the flip side.
The
You
B
heard
side.
the B side, as they call it now. We used to just call it the flip side. Then it got
That's
a
awesome.
proper name, the B side. So yeah,
Yeah.
that was kind of my thing. And I started out playing obscure rock and roll, and then I got into obscure soul in the early '80s, and started buying soul records. And I found a guy in the North End, Italian guy. That's all he did was sell soul 45s, and he went to warehouses around the country, and he'd bring them back, and he said, he'd say, "Jimmy, you'll like this one. Let me put it on his." He had nails in the wall. His name was Eddie B. He had nails in the wall, and under each nail was a name of one of his customers. And if he thought you'd like that 45, he'd put it on your nail. So you'd walk in, you'd see a row of nails with 45s on them, and you'd see different people's names. I was one of the names.
You
That's
go
how I
right to the
bought my
Jimmy B
record.
now.
Yeah, Jimmy will like this one. So yeah,
That's pretty
he
awesome.
was usually right
I
too.
love I love the name and the first initial. It says how it works in the North End. Hey, oh, there he is. Oh, there's Eddie B. Oh, hey,
And here's Jimmy B. Yeah, that's kind of how that came
it's Jimmy
about.
B.
That's how that came about.
Is that right?
Yeah, from Eddie B. Yeah, Eddie B.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Wow. No, I remember. I think I remember you. Were you ever big into the Ramones?
I went to the Ramones
Because
not when they first started. I saw them probably in '86 or '87 after they had after they were reasonably well known. Yeah, I had to see the Ramones once. I didn't see them at the Rat back in the day. I didn't go down to New York and see them at CBGB, which was the place to see them. You know.
really,
Oh yeah, I mean you
no,
wanted to see them. I mean they started at the CBGB's in the Bowery in 1974, and they're one of my all-time favorite rock bands. Yeah, the Ramones.
because I think I remember Did you ever have a poster of the Ramones?
My house,
That's yeah. I forget which
possibly.
one. Jamaica playing. Okay, because I think that's why I asked because I think I vaguely remembered.
Quite possibly.
Uh,
I got a
yeah,
Ramones poster. I don't remember for sure, but working
yeah,
at the radio station, posters got laid around all the time from companies that send in stuff. So you ended up with things that there it was going to get tossed, take it home, the kind of thing.
Why
Yeah.
not? Now you lived. I just mentioned you had a place in Jamaica Plain. You lived in Boston pretty much your whole adult life. I
Yeah,
believe.
over 40 years.
And that led to, wow, this is a good segue. That led to this. I might as well just get it out of the way now. This is
Yeah,
the book.
that did lead to that. Yep, it did. Living there.
And what
Yep.
what gave you that idea? Just because it's great, it works. I mean,
Well,
we're gonna find out it's very popular. So what led you to say I'm going to do this?
the book.
Yeah, the book.
Well, when I retired from 30 years teaching in the Boston Public Schools back in 2012, I started a page on Facebook just for the fun of it called Dirty Old Boston. I called it Dirty Old Boston. It was based on a page that I had seen in New York called Dirty Old New York City 1970s through 80s. And I contacted the guy and I said, I'd like to use the name Dirty Old Boston. Do you mind? And I was going to do it anyway, probably, but I figured as a courtesy, I'm not stealing from you. I'm asking you. And he said, yeah, no problem. I don't even live in New York. I live in Louisville. So I said, okay. So off I went with the page, and the page grew really quickly. It was the early days of the kind of the we grew up in, type Facebook pages you see a lot now. And it caught on pretty quickly, and I got very lucky. I got interviewed on NPR, WBUR, WGBH.
Oh, I see.
I got interviewed, and then I got an outreach, totally unsolicited. I'm just rolling with the energy here. Totally unsolicited from a publishing company called Union Park Press, which was named after Union Park in the South End of Boston. But they were based in Wellesley, and they said, would you be interested in doing a book? Here's me sitting there retired, just doing a Facebook page, just playing around every day. Yeah, I would be. So we got together and, we had to assemble all the pictures and we had to get them all cleared, all the legalities and everything. So it basically took us about 2 years to get it together. And in late 2014, the book got published. And it did well. It did well at first. I was number one on a bunch of charts in the city. I saw some of the figures, and it was selling pretty well. It's in its third printing now. It slowed down quite a bit. My publisher folded and sold the rights to her publishing company to a slightly larger publishing company based in Connecticut that's the number one indie publishing company in New England called Pequot Press. And they sent me a royalty check about a month ago out of the blue. I didn't expect it. So I still pick up a piece of change here and there from the book, which is more than I ever thought would happen. I'm not in it for the money. I just want it for the fun.
Right.
I never was in it for the money. I'm still not, People say, well, you should do advertising on your page. You should do, I said, no. If people send me stuff they want me to mention, I'll do it if it pertains to the subject of the page. So that's what I'm doing. So it's got a pretty good reach, the page now. It's also on Instagram, which I didn't used to be on, but that has its own thing. Are you on Instagram?
Yeah, I'm going to tag you on when I release this.
Yeah. Dirty Old Boston at Dirty Old Boston on Instagram. Yeah, it's lively discussions on almost everything I post there. So, which is fun. So, I still do it. I still do it because I got tons of pictures and people enjoy them.
Now, how long is it? Because the idea of it just seems like, I mean, it sounds stupid, but people say, "Oh, it's a coffee table book," or you just throwing a bunch of pictures together. It's much more than that. How do you decide which ones to use and which ones don't? Because people must have submitted thousands of pictures to you. What makes
surprised? You'd be surprised, George. We did an open solicitation in the South End, asking people to bring their pictures down. We went down there with scanners. A bunch of us, like 5 of us from the publishing company, thinking people would show up in droves. Hardly anybody came. I put out solicitations. Hardly anybody sent them in. Some people did, yeah, and we used them. But people don't. They don't jump when you say, "Please jump." They're passive. I mean, it's a passive form of entertainment to sit there on Facebook and look at pictures. It's quite another thing to assemble all your pictures and bring them down to a scanning party down in the South End, I guess. So we did outreach. We went to the public archives. We went to the historical societies. We went to the colleges and universities. We scoured, and it was time consuming, and took a lot of energy and outreach, but it was fun. And I met a lot of people, made a lot of friends doing it, and that way we got the book together. I think we got like 400 photos for the book. Wow. Yeah, I think we got the. You have your copy sitting there.
Yeah. No,
I forget how many pages it is. It's quite a few pages. It's a good book. It's fun to look at. Yeah, it is a coffee table book. I make no bones about that. I don't apologize for a coffee table book. I'm thrilled just to have a book out.
Just under 300 pages.
Just under 300 pages, yeah, full of pictures from the 50s, 60s, and 70s and early 80s at the time, yeah. Mm-hmm. So,
are there any plans to continue on that Dirty Old Boston Part 2?
Dirty Old Boston what?
Or no? Part 2. I was being
well,
part 2. Is there a reason? Mr. Bitterjou.
Yeah. Well, here's what we've been doing. A friend of mine that I worked with when I was teaching, he taught photography at the school I worked at, which was called West Roxbury High School. And he's a professional photographer. And he's a guy from Dorchester, real down-to-earth, salt-of-the-earth kind of guy who knows a lot of people. And he knows a lot of people I didn't know. Like, he knows the cops and fire. He does a lot of union photography. He knows the working stiffs in Boston. He knows, and I want that included in my history of Boston. I don't want it to be all about Harvard, MIT, and the colleges and the elites that run the city. I want it to be about people that lived and worked here and played here and were born here. And so he had a really much closer connection to that than I did as a guy who moved in from the suburbs, albeit 1971, the year I believe you were born. And that's when I moved into the city. But, and that's 50 years ago. But, Boston, unless you go back 100 generations, you don't belong here, pal. There's that mentality. So I wanted somebody who'd been here for generations in the city, and he was the ideal guy. So, long story short, we've been shooting subjects for 5 years now. People from all walks of life. We've got footage from all over the place. And I am currently sitting with a programming vice president at one of the major networks, and I am receiving close to promises about a presentation on TV, which is the route I've decided to go. Yep. But a friend of mine in LA tells me that in the world of television, which he's been involved in, that until that program is produced, scheduled, set to run, and actually runs, it's not a done deal. So until that show is on the air, it doesn't exist, as far as he's concerned, which taught me something very important. Don't make any promises about this. But we've got the video shot. They've got all kinds of stock footage, it being a major network. We could make a fabulous production out of this. It's all a question of budget. And, with COVID, we couldn't do anything for a year. Now things are starting to open up a little bit, hopefully, without these variants. I mean, who knows? But, things are starting to open up now. Actually had dinner with this person last week. Entertained them right here at the house. And got a vague promise. A vague. So that's where it's at. Just not to belabor the point, But that's
sure.
So hoping for that.
But you're progressing though. It's better than no promise.
Nothing was happening at all for the longest time. Let me take a sip of my coffee here. My Jim and Marjorie.
Please do.
These guys interviewed me. Jim and Marjorie on Boston Public Radio on WGBH. They had me in after the book came, and Marjorie's a real delight, and Jim's the intellectual. I don't know if you ever listened.
And that's really her. That's really her on the mug.
Yeah, this is called the Smug Mug. It's the return of the Smug Mug because Jim Browdy, the host, they make fun of him because he's not as funny as Marjorie. Marjorie's funny, and they just talk about what's going on.
Really?
Yeah. Have you ever listened?
Nope. No, I have. I
You're
never know
probably
that existed.
working. It's on WGBH radio, 11 to 2 every weekday. The great talk show. Great talk show. A little bit lefty, but not heavily political. You know.
I can get them online though. That'd be good. I'm sure they stream on the website. I'll check it out.
Oh yeah, you can listen
I'm
online
always
for
looking.
sure. Yeah, you could do it at work, I guess.
Yeah, I'll do it. Shh, don't tell them.
I won't.
I hope they don't listen.
I don't even know where you're working now.
That's all right. Well, I'm trying to work for V8. I'm trying to get a sponsorship here because I love this drink.
Oh yeah, I love the
But
V8, the low sodium. I buy the tall ones, and I buy like 4 at a time. Drink like 4 in a
Nice.
week and a half. Love it.
Oof. I was thinking you mentioned about this documentary or the movie you're getting for TV. And if you have to do any reshoots, I think I could work. I think I could fit in. I could be like Street Thug #2 or something. What do you think? You think I could go, or maybe 3. I don't want to be considered #2 about anything, but number 3. Hey, oh,
Yeah, you were good
there
at,
he is, Jimmy.
you're good at that. Oh, we're not shooting character. We
I could just pretend.
we got a couple of O type guys in it, or
Did you really?
yeah, we were in the North End.
Sounds like Eddie B was one of them.
We got Eddie. Yeah, the Eddie B is in the movie. Yep, he is.
Can you divulge who and any other people that are big in town, or is that are you keeping that low key?
Oh, we have a few people.
Like to be in it.
Well, Marjorie Egan, the one that hosts the show, she's been a journalist and a radio host in this town for years. We actually had her interviewed too, in addition to being interviewed by her. From radio, do you remember WBCN?
Oh yeah,
Program Laquadera, and the program director's name was Oedipus. I don't know if you remember that name. Yeah, Oedipus. He was a big deal around town. We got him. Oh God, I'm trying to think of. It's been doing this for so long. I don't have the list in front of me. We've got about 40 people. We've got about 40 people.
Nice.
Yeah, and all over the city, South End, everywhere. We've got a good variety. But I don't want to keep pushing this thing until it's a
Right,
done
of
deal.
course,
You
of
know what I
course.
mean?
But it's in the works, though. It's in the works.
It's in the works. Yeah. But
I
will tell you how I got into the thing to begin with. After I retired, I came into school in '71. I came in to go to Northeastern in '71, and while I was in Northeastern, I drove a cab to pick up some coin, and I drove all over the city, and I got to know the city really well. And then after I graduated, I floundered around aimlessly for 3 or 4 years, and I decided, because I needed money, that I could apply my college degree toward substitute teaching, which at the time paid $36.56 a day. I can remember the exact amount. No sick days, no vacation time, nothing. So I started doing that, went back to school and got my teaching certificate, which is a little easier then than it is now, and got hired by the Boston Public Schools. Fortunately, it wasn't easy, but I got hired by them. And when I was subbing, I went all over the city. I got to know all the neighborhoods, and the kids in all the neighborhoods. I got a real sense of the flavor of the real Boston, I thought. And when I finished working, one of the things that kind of prompted me to start doing this research into the history was, and the dirty old Boston end of it was, I know the city pretty damn well, and I had to give myself props for it. I said, who's in the same position I am to do this? I said, I'm in a unique position. I'm gonna go for it and just do it, and that's what happened. That's how it works. How it worked for me.
Now, is it true that you had a Wahlberg in your class?
Marky Mark,
Or
yeah,
was that
Mark
false?
Wahlberg. Yeah, Mark Wahlberg in 82 and 83 at the Phyllis Wheatley School in Roxbury, right up behind WILD on Warren Street. Actually, it's on Kearsarge Ave. Yeah, I had him. Little guy. Tough little guy. He was the only white kid in the class, and, the bros would pick on him, but he was fine. He handled himself really well. I admired him. I admired him. Tough. I guess he's tougher than I even knew. That incident with that Asian guy that cost the guy his eye, which they won't expunge his record for and shouldn't. But the guy has forgiven Mark, and I respect him for what he's done. Gone to Hollywood and I watched Entourage and all that stuff. He's he made something of himself. Against all odds.
Sure.
He came from a tough background. So yeah, props to Marky Mark. I had a lot of the new kids on the block in my class, like Jordan Knight was in there. I didn't have Joey McIntyre, but I knew his sisters because I lived in Jamaica Plain, and I'd see him walking around the pond. We flirted. One of his sisters was heavily involved with the Jamaica Plain Community Theater, which is the oldest community theater in the country. And so I kind of knew the McIntyre family. So yeah, I had seen Joey, but I didn't know him. He was the famous new kid on the block. Was probably your age now, right? I don't know. He's getting up there. Not that you're getting up there, but I mean everybody's getting up there. But I think of them as kids. They're not kids anymore. They're middle-aged adults.
Yeah, I'll be 50 in November.
Oh wow!
Yeah, 71, like you said. Yeah.
Well, I'll be 73 in October, so time just keeps on slipping into the future.
You look great for 70. You look great anyway, but 70. I would never guess 73, but I should because if I do the math, you're
yeah, I'm 23 years.
Well, I know how old my mother is.
Born. I was 23 when you were born.
Yeah.
So yeah, I remember. I remember going out when your mother brought you out to my parents' house, and there you were, this little thing, and I sat there and I held you, and I'm like, here he is. Here's George.
Oh, here he is.
You and I go way, way back.
Yeah.
I've known you my whole life. As far back as you can go.
That's right.
You've made something out of it. I'm really proud of you for
trying.
making something out of this. Good for you.
Well, I appreciate it.
Good for you.
I appreciate it. It's fun. Good for you. Good for you over here.
Good for you.
No, no, it's a lot of fun. I don't take it too seriously, and it's just
that's the way to do it.
That's all.
Yeah, if you can be.
I do appreciate. Yeah, absolutely, and I appreciate you supplying the music for me. That was huge because I didn't like the music I had, but I didn't want to pay for 3 seconds of a song. So I always give you credit when I can because and I legitimately like it too. The one I had prior, which I've switched over on YouTube.
Sure.
I do. I have.
I like it.
I really have.
I thought it was a little
overkill.
It sounds like God himself is going to come crashing through the roof.
I thought it was great.
Yeah, it
was great.
It's big bombast opening for your show.
Yeah,
I like that.
You offered to do it again. I'm like, no, I like this one. I don't even want to hear other ones.
Hang with it.
When I wouldn't. The what?
I'd say hang with it, and people would become more familiar to your people.
Yeah.
Do you know how many people watch you?
I just started with YouTube. My cousin Pat was on. He's got a Facebook page where he plays video games, and he's got tons and tons of followers, and that's got the most. That just reached over 200 views in a couple of days. But realistically, under 100 for each one. Some are lesser. Some there's around 20 views, but there's also listens. So it's kind of you add them both up, and it's all right. It's not. I'm by no means Joe Rogan anytime soon, but. It's just it's fun, and as long as some people are listening, and that's really all I care about. I'm not going to break any records, but it's still fun, and people seem to like it. Those who hear it.
Sure, I mean it's casual. Yeah. Now, do you know when you see how many views you get? Do you know how long each view lasted? I mean, if you turn it on and you watch for 2 minutes and turn it off, can you tell if that happened?
Yeah, there's analytics. I don't get too into that. If I ever decided to seek actual sponsorship, I would have to do that. But to me, it's just as long as somebody's looking, I don't care.
Yeah.
Not that I don't care, but you know what I mean.
Sure.
You got to start out. I've only been doing it for less than a year, and I go every other week. So I'm not even putting out. I'm putting out 2 to 3 a month, basically, is what it is.
And it's work.
So it's not. Yeah. Well, it's fun work, but yeah, no, it is. It is so much better. It started out during COVID, where I just said, let me just do this in my garage.
Yeah.
But then you run out of people who will drive to your garage. So then I got the phone.
I would have done that.
I started using the phone. We would have done that?
I would have. But awesome. You and I talked about this when you first started out, and you invited me, and I appreciate that. But I said to myself, I want to see if this is real, and he wants to continue with it. You definitely have done that. You've definitely done that. So, congratulations, just for doing what you're doing. I'm proud of you for doing it.
Oh, well, thank you. They say that the average, if you get past 10, you pretty much, most people stop around 10
minutes.
Episodes. No, 10 episodes. Like those would do. Like you said, you want to see if it's for real. Like I would have quit after 7 episodes. There's no point. I understood that too. I didn't really blame you for that.
Yeah, you were really. It was either going to fly or it was going to land, and you've kept it in the air. You kept it in the air. So and that's
Yeah, try it.
yeah. It's when I did radio, one of the things about radio is you don't really have any way of knowing if anybody's listening. I mean, you assume they are, but you don't really know. The only time I really knew that I had a loyal listenership was the one week a year that we would do fundraising. And I would ask for money on the air, and I got pretty good at that. And I actually did very well. I was surprised at how many people called and were enjoying my show. But then, most people don't say, "Oh, I like that song. Let me call the guy who just played it on the air." They just don't think like that. Radio's people like passive entertainment. They don't get actively involved in the entertainment they're receiving. Like you don't contact Netflix when you like a movie. Hey, Netflix, that was a good one. No, you just watch the movie, right?
Sure.
Netflix has all those algorithms and everything, so they know who's watching what. But that's relatively new compared to the world that even you came up in.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Yeah,
Totally. I thought I laughed when my friend Adam got Netflix,
I remember you.
and I kind of
Wasn't he from Stone?
yeah.
Yeah.
Stoneham, yeah. He lives across the street from me. And he's one of the first people I knew with Netflix, and I kind of laughed. I was like, what? It didn't make sense to me because I worked at West Coast Video, there was Blockbuster, there was all this stuff, and it was just that was the norm. You go out, you get a movie, you come back, and
Right, all
so
the
he was
norms
one of the first.
shattered. All norms
Yeah, they
shattered.
always do.
Even in radio, one of my favorite mediums. I mean, most people listen to Pandora and Spotify. They don't, and there's nobody presenting the music. I got one friend who's still in the radio after, I think he started in 77 or 78. Albert O. He used to be he was at my station, WMBR. Then he was at BCN. Then he was at a couple of other FM stations, I don't know, and now he's at WUMB at UMass Boston. He's still on the air. He's still being paid to be on the air. And he puts his heart and soul into presenting the music that you hear. He talks about the artist. He tells you all about it. I enjoy that so much more than just hearing songs. I love songs, but boy, somebody who knows about everything that went into it, that really interests me. He's still doing it. So my hat's off to him.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Good job, Good job, Alberto.
Yep. Do you remember?
Eddie B and Jimmy V.
Yeah.
Do I what?
Do you remember him from
Oh, I thought you asked me.
BCN? I don't.
No, I don't.
He was
I
he was an
don't.
overnight guy, pretty much. Yeah. Anyway, what else?
No, I did want to. You mentioned something earlier, and it jarred a memory in me. You said that you had the cab, and I remember you actually had a cab. You picked me up once in the cab, and I went in the back seat. I think my mother was in the front seat, and I was in the back, and I had to pull the seat out from. It was like a round. It swiveled. It was a swivel chair.
It was a Checker Marathon.
Is that I don't remember? Yeah,
Yeah,
it was like round.
I don't think they make
forget.
them anymore. They quit making them. Oh, probably 15.
But you had one.
I had one. I actually
Yeah, and
bought it for next to nothing from the guy who owned the cab company that I used to work for in Cambridge, Checker Cab of Cambridge. So I had that freaking marathon for about 3 years, but it was just it had 450,000 original miles on it. It's like
Wow.
it was
Yeah, right. A cab, sure.
yeah.
But it was just. I'll never forget just swiveling the seat out to sit on it. I don't even know what there was about.
I remember that.
There was
Yeah,
plenty of
a
room.
lot of room back.
Yeah, because you would be driving, so you wouldn't really use it. But I just thought it was fun. And as a kid, it was like, this is great. Who knows if it's even, how safe it was for today's standards. But it was a lot of fun.
We weren't all
it was
seatbelt
crazy.
freaks back in those days. I remember taking you to a Hitchcock festival, Alfred Hitchcock Festival over at the Coolidge Corner. And, there I was, like, my early 30s, bachelor. I didn't know what to do with a kid, really. I had you in for a few days, and I brought you to this Hitchcock Festival, and they were all the old English black and whites, and I'm like, you were like, what? We were like,
It was a double feature, too. That's the funny
and I
thing.
didn't know
Double
how to
feature.
feed you. I remember bringing you pizza and cutting up tomatoes for you, because I didn't even know how to cook
That's
for
fun to
myself.
me.
Yeah, you were happy. You were happy.
I didn't care. That was easy. I'll never forget this. You took me once to get a real burger, and I didn't appreciate it because I never had a real burger. I was like, "What is this?" I'm used to the the smushed down McDonald's and the burger,
Sure.
and I was like, "What is this? Is awful!" I couldn't believe you went out of your way to take me to some. I forget what the place is, but we sat outside, and I literally had I had a two fisted, and I was just like, this is not what I wanted. This is not what I'm sure I ate it and I didn't say that, but I remember thinking like, wow, this isn't a real burger at all. This is not even close. The real burger, it comes in a wrapper and it's this thick.
All right.
I do, but you did try. I had a lot of fun. I really did.
Oh, that's good.
And I remember.
I'm glad you did.
Oh, I did. I honestly did. I really did. And having all your equipment, I used to listen to. You would make remix tape, or I would make remix tapes of your stuff, and take it home. And you still actually do that. I've seen you put a couple on Facebook, which prompted me to ask you for the music for my show because I was listening to one of your groove, like you do like an hour and a half type of thing where you just put it out there and it's Jimmy B.
I make a mix. Yeah,
theme.
I do mixes. Well, I have
you make a mix.
I have I have two turntables here. You can't really see them. You can see some. I can't even see my hand. There it is. I have two turntables back here and a mixer, and I have a dual CD player. I don't even play CDs anymore. All my CDs are digitized into my iTunes library, and I have right below me, which you can't see, a component called Tractor. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It'll upload your iTunes library, and it'll tell you how many beats per minute a song has, and it'll tell you what key the song is in. So I have a little bit of theoretical music training, so I know that, for example, that if I'm playing something in C minor, the first three notes of it are C, E flat, and G. So I know I can play something in E flat, following a key in C minor, and it'll musically be more pleasing to the ears than a jarring transition. I also have a whole collection of music that's gone through a process called Ableton, which syncs the beats perfectly. In other words, most old music has real drummers on it, and real drummers aren't 1,000% precise. So Ableton allows you to make it precise so that you can beat match seamlessly. So those are the kind of mixes that I do. I do beat matched seamless mixes.
They come out great.
Dirty Old Boston Radio and Mixcloud, if anybody wants to take a look.
They're really good. Here's a sample.
Yeah, they're all like that.
No,
they are. They're not Dave Matthews. They're not the Dave Matthews Band.
But who is, right? Who is?
Yeah.
That's awesome. No, that was one of my highlights is coming in, and I would immediately go to when I walked. I remember I forget which house it was or apartment, but I walk up the stairs and there was a little hallway, and the record player was right there, the two records, and I would just gravitate right towards it.
Yeah,
it was in the condo. Yeah,
okay. Condo. Yeah, on Paul Gore Street in Jamaica Plain. Yep.
Was Bella there?
Ella.
No, it was Ella, not Bella. It was
Ella.
Ella.
Yeah, Ella was there. Yeah, Ella. No, you weren't there. You were at that condo, but you visited me when I lived on Spring Park Ave, and I had actually had the equipment in what would have been the pantry, between the kitchen and what would have been the dining room. Although we didn't have dining room furniture, so it was in the dining room. But it was a pantry, and it had the shelves and a built-in, chest of drawers kind of thing. With the and I had my DJ coffin sitting on that. And hooked up to a cassette player, which was up above it. It was my mini studio at the time. It was all I could afford to put together. So, yeah. I think that's what you played in. I believe.
I've been to a couple of. Actually, Adam, I house sat for you once, and Adam came over. You knew about it, of course. I wasn't trying to sneak him in, but
I thought
I don't know why we mentioned him earlier. No, I forgot you had a roommate, Adam.
I had a roommate, Adam. Yeah. Yeah, I haven't seen him for a long time. Although I was looking at used CDs on DustyGroove.com the other day, and I saw one of his used CDs for sale for $2.99. I said, I don't know how.
Really?
Yeah. No, he's been a musician all this time. So he was on the road with several Broadway plays, musicals that went on the road, and he was in the pit orchestra for a lot of them. He did that for a number of years, and then I kind of totally lost touch with him. But yeah, you brought your friend Adam in, I think during Hurricane Bob. Didn't you come in during Hurricane Bob
I don't.
and took care of my
don't
plants?
remember
I think
that
I think I have all my plants on the porch, and we were on vacation down the Cape. And I think I called you and asked you if you'd hop on the Orange Line and ride into JP and make sure my plants didn't get blown over. I think that happened.
It probably cost you a couple of days me staying there, but yeah, I think I might have done that.
Yeah.
I used to walk to Oak Grove and it was Stony Brook. I don't know what
Yes,
it's called.
that's
Was
right,
it
that's right.
Stony Brook?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right up
Stony
the street
Brook.
from Stony Brook.
Just walk up the hill and I'm there.
Yeah, it was.
And you took me to JP Licks, which I was introduced to. That was the original Jamaica Plain JP
The
Licks.
tiny one.
Now they're
Yeah, you're the first one.
very tiny.
Yep. Now it's
You
a
had to
big
walk-
old JP
yeah, I mean-
firehouse. It's massive. Lines out the door.
Yeah,
and
it's
everything
huge.
else. You know, but
And
yeah,
they have
they had
other
just
ones
started.
now, too,
This was in the early '80s. You know, they had just started there on that little tiny place across from what used to be Flanagan's, which is now a CVS. For people that are in JP, probably remember that. They're old timers.
Is it still there though? The JP Licks and
It's
the
in
original is
Jamaica
still there?
Plain.
Or
They took over
It
the
is.
old firehouse. The old firehouse.
Oh, okay.
They closed during Proposition 2.5 in 1981. They closed it as a firehouse. It was empty for a few years. One of the local bagel places opened up. I can't remember the name of the local bagel place. And this sort of nonprofit arts group had the upstairs. And that kind of fell apart. And then Vinny, who owns JP Licks, deal and took. Hey, no, he's not one of those guys.
Hey,
Polish.
hey.
He's Polish. He
Polish.
he is. He told me he was Polish. I don't know his last name, but he got the deal to take over the firehouse, and he remodeled it. It actually looks quite good. You know, you can sit down in there, and it's pretty cool. It's kind of draws people from all over the place. Hot summer night, it's jammed. Not last summer, but ordinarily, yeah. Right. But I'm not in JP that much anymore because Boston's changed so much, and it's so expensive, and it's just it's not the Boston. It's not dirty old Boston. That's the other thing. No. It's gone through so many changes that, for me and a lot of people I know, the place has become virtually unrecognizable and very unpleasant. So you can't park anywhere. You used to be able to go out at night and park. You can't park. Park in a garage, $40-$50. I'm not going to spend $40-$50 to park a car. I could have done that for free when I was younger. I'm not paying you.
When I was a kid.
That was my attitude. That's my attitude. Why should I pay for that? So,
no, you're right.
Just it's rich. It's condoized to death, and the new buildings that are going up are all glassy, steely, unappealing, unimaginative. It's just losing its personality. It's becoming just another bland, middle of the road city that is fortunate enough to be on the water, in my opinion. But that's just me. I'm sure there are plenty of people that love it, and that's their right.
You grew up in dirty old Boston, so why wouldn't you feel that way?
Yeah.
That's how I look at it. Did JP Licks make the book? I don't remember if it did.
No.
It did. That's too bad. It should have.
We might have run
the sequel.
We might have run a picture of where its original location was before JP Licks had even opened there in the early '80s. Because we went to the JP Historical Society, but we didn't get too much from them because they wanted us to contact each of the people who had donated the photos, which is detective work, to find out if we could use them, and it's just too much, to do that.
Now you do give credit. I'm not obviously you do because I read it on there, but you give credit to everybody who sends a picture in.
Oh,
as much as you can. You give as much information as you can.
Oh yeah. When you run a picture, you do have to credit. You have to get permission to run it from the person who took the picture, unless it's in the public. What do you call it? If it's a publicly available picture.
Domain.
Public domain. Thank you. You don't have to ask permission. You can just use it. And that helped us, enormously, because we went to the Boston City Archives and they were amazingly helpful. We went to the Massachusetts State Archives down at UMass in Dorchester, and they were amazingly helpful. I mean, they give you the photos and they say, here, put on these white gloves, look through them. If you want anything, you have to take a photo of the photo. So we went down there with the phone. We went with a little tripod, put it on the table, took pictures of the pictures, and it's just a whole procedure you go through.
That's crazy. But you couldn't even tell though. I wouldn't have known that if you didn't tell me because they look.
Oh yeah, we
They
had the
look
right
great.
lighting and everything. I mean, we did it right.
Yeah, oh, it came out great. Do you have? Well, I guess I'm talking on a line here because it's not official till it's official. But do you have any music? Are you going to do the music for the document? Is it a documentary or is it a film? I don't want to call it the wrong thing. If it goes,
It's either according to the person that I'm talking to, it's either going to be a documentary or a miniseries. That's what's in that person's mind for the outcome. Yep.
okay.
So I don't know.
Yeah,
Musically, a friend of mine, I have spoken to about scoring it. His name's Brother Cleve. He's one of those kind of a man for all seasons. He knows music inside and out, and he would do us a brilliant score. Should we need one? We're not sure we're going to need one yet. But yes, I have spoken to him about it, and he will. We also have a narrator who's got the Boston accent down pat that we'd like to use, you know.
You can't say apparently.
Well, he has a local singer named Chris Cody. Very, very good singer and very, very good with the Boston accent. He nails it so well. I mean, he's from the area, but he doesn't have as thick of a Boston accent as he can put on. You know, he's as good as the guy in those Sam Adams commercials. You know that guy? What's his name?
From Boston.
Yeah,
cousin Sal or something.
I guess he's
your
from
brother
Canton, but
Sal.
he's great. He's great.
Yeah.
He's got
Yeah.
the right. This guy.
Are those commercials?
This guy's at least as good as that.
Is that
Yeah.
right? Does everybody get those Sam Adams commercials? Because I think they're funny, but I wonder if other people hate them.
I don't know what. I think they love. I don't know. I love them. I think they're great.
Me too. But I'm laughing at it, not with it.
Well, you're laughing with
That's
it
the
too.
thing.
I mean, I don't
Yeah, I
drink
guess,
Sam Adams, but I love their commercials. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, that guy is pretty cool. From Boston. Can I get sued for doing that? I don't know.
No.
I have to get permission.
No,
to do that.
we make.
Now, what is the line on that? I had this discussion once. Where does it draw the line? If I was to take like my original thing for the music was I wanted to get 10 seconds of a Dave Matthews song, the opening of Ants Marching, just a quick thing, boom. What like you gave me stuff, like you sampled, it sounds like Will Ferrell's in there too, saying ladies and gentlemen. How did you get, or did you not? How do you get permission for that? Because you got tons of mixes. Is that
I don't get permission.
you do? Also, okay, so I'm gonna keep this on the
No,
down.
I mean, if I use it for profit, I have to. I'm not using it.
Is that what it is?
I'm not a lawyer, so don't quote me. But
Eddie Volpe is not Eddie Volpe. Jack Kuhn.
yeah, he's a lawyer, but he's
Get
a
job.
criminal lawyer. He's not a clearance lawyer. Different lawyers have different specialties. I don't know the exact law on it. What do you want to use the music for? And how?
Well, at the time, I was going to use it to just introduce the show real quick before I asked you, and I went through the channels, and they wanted like 400 questions answered, and I knew the answers to like none of them.
Mm-hmm.
They were all it was way above my pay grade, so to speak, and I just was like, forget it. I'm not even going to go through the hassle for them just to. They're like, well, we want to help you. I'm like, well, okay, but I can't answer these questions. I don't know. I know nothing about that.
Well,
can I just?
here's what people.
You know what I mean? I just want to say.
I'll tell you. Here's what people I know have done that run into the similar problem that you're talking about. You just do it, and if it's going to be a problem, you're going to get a cease and desist letter, in which case you would cease and desist. But if you never hear anything, then it's not a problem. Nobody's going to try to take away anything of yours for doing it. Something simple like that. You're not making money doing this anyway. It's not like you're using someone to help you make more money or anything like that.
Right.
You're doing this. This is a labor of love. So no one's. you'd be hard pressed to find someone I think that would have a real issue with it. But I can't
That's
guarantee
what I
that.
thought.
Huh?
Of course. I would never coach you on that, but that's what I thought too. But
Quote me,
I
but
read
I'm not.
somewhere in all these things.
It's not legal
No,
advice. It's just personal experience.
sure.
That's all
But
I
I was
got.
told Apple will just pull you, like Apple will just they don't even tell you to give a cease and desist. They'll just yank you off their catalog. That's what I was told.
Hey, I don't
How
know.
true it is.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I, don't- I, you
I just
know,
felt safe saying, "Hey, I heard your mix." I was like, "Well, I'll ask him. He's obviously doing it, so
I just
why
put
not?"
them up there, and I'm not the only one. Thousands and thousands of people put
Oh,
things up on Mixcloud and SoundCloud. You know, it's one way
sure.
to get heard if you want to get heard. I don't need to be heard that badly, so I don't do it that often anymore. But I've not run into anything like that, any problems like that whatsoever. For the book, we
Yeah,
did,
the odds
we
are,
did clearance, the legal clearance. She's was in the business of publishing books and generating and earning an income from it. So, and she gets really good legal advice, and she knew just what to do. And they did all that work. I didn't have to do that. That's the one thing about being published. A lot of people self-publish. They put out the book, then they got to schlep the book all over the world trying to sell it. I didn't have to do any of that. They did all that work for me. They did all the distribution. They paid me. I helped put the book together, but once that book came out, all of it was on them. It still is. It's on the publishing
wow.
company. Yeah, it's nothing. I don't have to do anything. So
That's
that
a
was
great gig if you can get it.
yeah. It fell in my lap. I wasn't out hunting it down. So
It's kind of crazy just to come up with a little Facebook page on a lark, and then next thing you know, you're in discussions to have it on TV of some sort. It's
yeah,
pretty crazy.
you never know what's going to happen. But nothing's real until it is real. So
True.
that's
True.
in
It's,
my
it's
head.
not on the edge till it is.
Just like in your own personal life, I think I got the job. No, you don't. Not until you're actually sitting down working. And
True.
you have that job. It's like that. It's like that's life. Nothing's definite until it's definite.
Right. Hence, you're familiar with it is what it is
Of course I am. Your mother
ad
used to
nauseum.
use it all the time, and until she heard your favorite president, her favorite president, using it, and then she said, "That's not in my repertoire anymore." That's what she told me.
Oh, did he say? I didn't know he said it. Did he say that?
He did say it at one point. Yeah, it's probably something to do with COVID.
Oh,
I
I
don't
had
know.
no
I don't.
idea.
I don't
Is
remember.
that's why she stops.
Yes. Ask her. That's what she told me. She said, "I'm not using that
That's
anymore."
funny.
Yeah, because I made fun of her.
She's writing it down now. She corrects me on everything I do. Oh, I forgot. I have to do a. I told her I would fix this. I was telling people last week that the Mario Kart ride in Niagara Falls was on the American side, but it's on the Canadian side. So she made me promise to divulge that because I lied, apparently. I know you probably, yeah. Well, because I get a phone call. I'll get a phone call like 3 weeks later after I do this podcast. She'll listen to this the day I release it, Jim, and she'll say, "Oh, by the way, I did it because of this." I'm like, "What are you talking about? I don't even know what you're even talking about." Because she just watched it, but I said it 2 weeks ago, and she gives me little corrections. So,
Well, I will tell you that she told me probably on the phone, because we talk on the phone periodically, that she was no longer using "it is what it is" because Donald Trump used "it is what it is" to talk about something. She said, "Yeah," and she's not his number one fan.
well, it's funny.
I know you stay away from politics, so
Yeah,
I know that. So
it is what
fine.
it is. That's what.
That's fine. So I'm not bringing
Yeah,
up politics. It's just funny that
No,
you
no,
dropped
I
it
know.
because of that. I got a kick out of that.
Yeah, it was relevant. I brought up it is what it is. So definitely. But you mentioned before that you're mixing, because I really enjoy listening to your mixes. You don't do them. You don't release them as often. Have you done one recently? Because I don't even know that I've seen one recently.
No, I haven't
How
put
often
one
do you
up
do
for
one?
probably. I probably haven't put one up for 6 months, 8 months. Or maybe I'll do one now. Maybe I'll do another one.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
maybe I'll do one.
Now, what determines your mood? Like, do you? Because it's not. You don't always do the same type of
I
music.
just fly by the seat of my pants. I just go through the
I
list.
like it.
I just go through. You see the songs in a list. Oh, I'll play that one. I'll play that one. I know these two go well together. Whatever, whatever. It's not like I have a plan or anything like that. No, No. When I was
So, you know,
doing radio, I started out. I would play. And when I first started, I'm kind of ashamed to admit this, but it's true. I would not only plan every song I was going to play, I would plan the words I was going to say to use about every song. And when I listen to early tapes of my show, I can hear that it was all planned.
oh, is
Yeah,
that
and
right?
then I just started just bringing in records, bring a bunch in. I'd say, I'll play this one next. And it was so much more natural and free flowing. Sort of like your show goes, you know? Instead
Yeah.
of every word planned out, I just wanted it to be. I was a perfectionist about it, and I didn't need to be.
Yeah. I mean, you saw the process here. What do you not want to talk about? Okay, let's
Yeah,
go.
yeah,
That's pretty much it.
right.
I mean, don't tell me what you want to talk about. Tell me what you don't want to talk about, and we'll take it from there. Because I don't want to. If you're going well, I explained this to my friend Larry because he's going to be hosting a podcast, and I said if you're going this way and it's going well, don't stop and bring them back to go another way because
Go
that's
with the
how you want it to
flow.
go. Go with let it finish, let it play out. People want to hear a conversation. They don't want to hear, all right, we've done 2 minutes on this. Next, where's it going? I totally believe in that. Sometimes I have to have something prepared for if it stalls, but realistically, I can pretty much figure out where
Yeah,
to go
stuff
after
can
that.
stall when you're on the air having a conversation too. We can stall in real life too. I mean, sometimes you just run out of
Yeah,
shit to talk about, and you're like, okay, I'll see you later.
right. But
I'm going home now.
yeah, yeah. How about them Celtics? Huh? That's when you get the weather and the
Yeah,
sports. That's when I know they've got nothing left to say to me. Is hot enough for you? That's the
yeah,
worst. It's the absolute worst. But but you mentioned before your Instagram. Did you get into? I know you have the Facebook page. The Facebook page is just Dirty Old Boston,
yeah,
correct? If they want to look, and the Instagram is Dirty Old Boston as well as
yeah.
the underscores or
No,
just. And did you ever get on Twitter?
no, I don't like Twitter. I just don't like it.
Okay.
I hate reading about, this guy tweeted that today. I don't care. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. So
Fair
no, I
enough.
don't do Twitter.
Fair enough.
But Instagram, my publisher set up an Instagram page for me, and I didn't even know what Instagram was back in 2014, and I didn't do anything about it. So I'm down in New York one weekend with Kat, my girlfriend, and her daughters are both live in New York. So one of them came to visit us for lunch at a restaurant, and she's only like 24 now, so she was probably 18 at the time. And she was asking me how everything was going, good with the book and blah blah blah. And I said, I have this supposedly has this Instagram page, and she goes, "Oh, you do? Well, let me see it." And she opened the Instagram page, which I'd never opened. I'd never opened the Instagram page. She goes, "Do you know you have 2,000 followers?" 2,000? No, I didn't know. She goes, 2,000 followers and no posts. How did you do that? I said, I
No
didn't.
posts.
Nothing. Nothing. So I said, I don't know. My publisher set it up for me, probably put out the word, and that's probably what generated the membership. So shortly thereafter, I started putting pictures up there. And actually, I enjoy Instagram more than Facebook. I think Facebook limits your spread, unless you're into advertising and stuff like that. I just, Instagram's just like pictures and chatter. I don't know. It's just easier. I don't know. Plus, you can edit the pictures a little better. Instagram has an editing capability that Facebook does not, and I've been enjoying Instagram. If I post a picture on Instagram and Facebook, it gets way more action on Instagram than it does on Facebook, which is
Is that
weird.
right?
But it is what it. Whoop.
Ah, well
I
played.
almost used it. So yeah, so
That's funny.
it's social media. It's a weird world. It's a weird world. I hate it when people like message me on Facebook to ask me a question. Why not just I don't know. People don't call each other anymore. People will send me a message on Facebook asking me if they can call. I'm like, why don't you just call?
Find out. I'll either answer it or I won't.
I'll answer the phone. I mean, that's the other thing. What's all this with people don't answer their phones?
Well, I mean, people.
Maybe I'm really old. I am. I'm getting old. When I was younger, when the phone rang, you answered the damn thing. If you didn't like what you were,
And you didn't know who it was.
you'd hang up. But you didn't not answer it. Now
Right.
it's old. Got flipped on its whatever you call it. It's just It's a strange world. It's a strange world.
Yeah, the
And
phone's the only thing I don't use on my phone.
what's that? What's
The
that?
phone's the only thing I don't use on my phone.
Exactly. Everybody's got these phones. I got a 512 gigabyte phone, so I can put my 50,000 songs on it, text and use my Instagram. I rarely make a phone call. I rarely even get one. It's like, okay, why do they even call it a phone? And why do they call these things for working on computers? We don't use them to compute. It's
There's a good bit there, actually. That's pretty good. That's funny.
yeah. It's just,
Yeah, I texted you the email to get on the show. That's funny. I never actually spoke to you. I spoke to you before, but for this transaction, so to speak, I texted you the email and you logged on. I mean,
I got to be honest with you about one thing. I forgot I was going to do this today, and I woke up and I'm eating breakfast, and I got this. All of a sudden, I get a text. The text shows up on my phone. I didn't even have the volume on, but I had the phone sitting on the table. So Kat says, "So your phone lit?" And I look at it and I go, "Oh, jeez, George! Oh, So I ran downstairs here.
you weren't even late. You were early, so it's good.
Yeah, no, it worked out. I'm glad it worked out. Don't get me wrong. I wasn't trying to blow it up. I just spaced it out.
Oh no.
So what you?
That's why I say
you record this now, and then do you edit it?
Yep.
All? Oh, you edit it. Good.
Yeah, no. Well, I actually don't, unless there's something unless you said something that you don't want to be repeated, or you said it by accident. I just let it go.
No.
I'll add the music to it, and I'll edit out the dead air before and after, so it's a little smoother. But that's really it. I don't want to take the time to go through every and whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it's a conversation. That's what happens in
No, I
real
get
life.
it.
So I don't.
Yeah, you don't want it to be so tight it's unnatural.
Exactly. And people, I'm in this group of people who do this stuff, and that they take hours to edit. I'm like, hours to edit? What? Go for a walk. I mean, what do you mean hours to edit? What are you editing out? The whole show? I mean, you got a 3-minute episode then. I don't understand it.
Well, people that do this,
unless, like I said,
people that do this kind of stuff sometimes tend to be perfectionists. They don't want any errors. They want everything to be perfect, and then they want to be seen and noticed, and they want to be elevated. I mean, that's part of what this racket is. I mean, you may not be in it for that, but that's some people are in it to for fame. They want to be known, they want to be seen and heard, and they want to be famous. I mean,
when I started out, I did it in the garage. You've been here. There's a train track literally 10 feet away from the house, and the train will go by, and you can hear the train, and sometimes I'll stop. I would stop talking just to let the train go. People love the train. I couldn't edit that out. They wanted to hear the train. How many trains were in this one?
It's something
one
real.
episode, there was 3 trains. Yeah, exactly.
It's real.
Just a couple people in a garage hanging out.
Right, and that's good.
Life happens.
So what kind of music are you going to put on this thing?
I don't know yet. I would use yours. I don't want to put different music. I want to keep it uniformed. I want to put the one like on the audio, I put the music in the front and the back of every episode. On YouTube, I have my old catalog. I was able to put the music on, your music on, up until I started videotaping to see the video. Because when you watch this episode, you're going to see you and you're going to see me. But when you watch the older ones before I had this platform, it's just like a blue space with lines going through, like a sound waves type of thing. So you can still hear the podcast, like with my mother, for instance. It'll say Christmas with Mom, however long it is, but you won't see a picture of us because we didn't do it. You'll just press play, and your TV will vibrate, whatever it says, whatever it does, and that's it.
Sound wave, yeah.
Sound wave. Thank you. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
So, but they have your music on it because I was able to edit it on there beforehand. Whereas now the new one's funny because the ones that you either get video or you get the music right at this point. So I'm going to have to do something soon because I think this is the 7th one I've done for actual video. So I have to do something because it's just, you just turn it on and you see numbers and me going, okay, this is 6. I used to count down in the beginning because I thought I'd be able to edit it out, but I couldn't figure out how to do it.
Do you need me to provide you with any music for this, or are you?
No, you already have. I'm going to use the same music I have to make it uniform, the same one that you gave me for the audio. Like, if you listen to Apple, this podcast,
you mean the intro?
Yeah, you'll hear the music on Apple. You'll hear.
Oh, okay, but you're not using music during the conversation. Oh,
No,
okay.
no, 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 no,
Okay. That's what I thought
no,
you
no, no,
meant.
no, no. Oh no, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, I just meant the quick intros, which isn't a big deal because it's 10 seconds.
Yeah, right.
But I do want to have it though, and I do have it for the back catalog on YouTube,
Okay.
and I have it on all the audio platforms have the music.
Okay.
So
Email me the link to your YouTube channel.
yeah, okay,
Okay. Because then I can just check out everything, as it
yeah,
goes
sure.
along. So
Keep in mind, my first one with Jessica Blaylock, I had no idea how to do the
no
lighting,
apologies.
so I look
No
like.
apologies. Don't worry.
Oh, that's right. I said that before. You said, "Don't worry about it. Just keep
Just
going."
keep going.
No, it's true.
Just keep going. You'll
It's so
see
funny
what
because
you
now I have this
don't
ring
like,
light.
and you'll fix it. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Pretty soon,
No, you're right.
that's all there is.
Yeah.
That's
No,
all
it's
there
good.
is to it.
Yeah, it's going pretty well. I like it. It's fun. It's good. I get to talk to people. I don't get to talk to you that often, so if I can come on here and like my cousin Patrick, I haven't talked to in a long time, so it was great to have him on. We talked. We actually talked for like 2 hours, and then we talked after for another. It could have been another. We did another podcast without taping it. We just talked
I know.
for like 2 more hours. It was
We live
crazy.
in a world where we
It's
talk to each other on a freaking computer from, you're probably maybe 30 miles from me,
You're right. Exactly.
Funny. You'll have to come up
Yeah.
this summer, up on the deck. Have you guys
I'd like
got
to.
your vaccines yet?
No. My mother has.
Oh, I know
No.
she has. We've had, the older people have pretty much gotten them, a lot of them around here. You should get it soon. My kids both, Peter and Leah, both had their first ones last week.
Is that right?
Yep, they had the first Pfizer shot last week. I'm actually going to Philly with Leah on Friday. She's going to visit a friend, and I'm going to a record dealer that I go
Nice.
see down there. I'm going to stay in a hotel. She's going to stay with a friend, then we're going to drive back together. So it'll give us a chance to rebond,
That's cool.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
cool. How often do you go to these record shows? Because I know I've seen
It's a record
pictures of
store.
you.
It's a world
store,
famous
your
record
store.
store called Val Shively's. He's got 5 million 45s there, literally.
Oof.
The place is packed. So I just
Wow.
go through stuff. I just go through stuff and figure out what I want.
What's
A little turntable I bring with me. I can sample listen because usually it's stuff I don't know. So
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So it'll be a nice weekend. I got a reservation at a hotel in Center City on Market Street, which is the main drag through Philly, and
Nice.
one of them anyway. I think there's Broad Street. I don't know Philly's super.
Broad Street Bullies. The Flyers, Philadelphia Flyers, used to be called the Broad Street Bullies.
Oh, really? Is that a
The
Philly
hockey
thing?
team.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The
Which
hockey
reminds me of that movie, Romper Stomper. It just came into my mind. Remember that movie? That
I do
Australian
remember
movie
that. Was
you
Michael
and I-
Rappaport in that? No, was it?
We were making joke. You and I were making jokes about it a long time ago. Romper Stomper.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
remember,
yeah.
just a word association.
Quickly that enters your head. Sure. Let me ask you a question because I know you're a big music guy. You see the records in the back of you over your right shoulder. What's the most you've ever spent in one day at a record store?
2,500.
Really? Now is that on
right.
rare? Because you get a lot of rare stuff. It's what?
Yeah.
No, I'm lying. Right, of course. Yeah.
No, I did,
Wow.
and that was at Val Shively's in Philly.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, but I don't spend that habitually, regularly. But if I did one thing during COVID more than I should, it was buy records because you can buy them online, and then run out to the
Yeah.
mailbox every day and get your little treasure and bring it in and play it.
Woo. That's awesome. Now, were you a big Tower Records guy, or was that overhyped? Did you ever?
No, it was
Because there was
good.
a Tower Records in Boston.
Yeah, they had
Yeah.
a good store back back then. They were good. They were a chain, but they carried just about everything. So
Yeah.
that's where you went. I mean, I went to a lot of the independent used record stores too, because a lot of people trade in their vinyl for cash or to get new stuff because they're sick of that stuff, and so there's still some of that going on in Boston. Not like it used to be, but I go to a place called In Your Ear, which is in Allston next to the Paradise Theater, and this
To be clear, you said in your ear, not in your rear, correct?
in your ear, not in your
Okay. Just making
in
sure.
your
Well,
ear.
it's a different kind of album. That's all I'm saying.
Yes.
That's all I'm saying.
Yes, yeah, I never thought of that until you just brought it up. Dirty
That's
Mind.
one.
He has dirty mind.
Maybe.
No, don't go with George. Dirty mind.
No.
I go there, periodically. The guy's been in business over 40 years. He's a geezer like me. So we just cynically look at the state of the world and shake our heads negatively and talk about
Get
records.
off my lawn.
Yeah, kind of. But he allows me on his lawn because I spend money there. So
Yeah, right. Well, lawn and money is green, so why not?
yeah,
No, that's cool though, because I always like your post when you say, "Oh, I've got just got this one," you're waiting for months or whatever. It's like it's almost like you're a little kid in the candy store when you get
it
that,
is.
that 45. It's great to see. I like it.
Mom and Dad bought me my first 45s when I turned 10, which was 1958. And the three singles were "The Witch Doctor" by David Seville, whose real name was Ross Bagnarian or something like that. "The Purple People Eater" by Sheb Woolley, who was really a country singer, but he made this gimmick record. And then they bought me the Big Bopper, "The Purple People Eater Meets the Witch Doctor." But the flip side turned out to be the hit called "Chantilly Lace." So those are my first three. I actually have a picture of myself on the wall here, but you can't see it, holding the 345s and another picture next to it of me listening to them on the floor. So I'm still that 10-year-old kid when it comes to records.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's why if it baffled me when you couldn't think of some, I forget what we were talking about, but you couldn't think of something, and I was like, how can that be? Because in my mind, you know pretty much everything about music, or at least as much as you can.
I know what I know. I don't know everything. No, I don't know everything.
Yeah, well, no, that's fair. That's fair. But it's usually, like, I just can't imagine stumping you on that. But
Well, you can stump me on 80s and 90s. That's more your era than
yeah,
mine.
that's
You,
fair.
the 90s, I know a little. I know what was on the radio, but I don't really know, deep 90s. I'm a boomer, and I listen to mostly boomer music.
No, I just remembered something too. You because I was big into the Jay Giles band.
They were
growing
great.
up, and you had an acquaintance with Peter Wolf. Didn't you go to different record shows with him?
No,
You wouldn't say
I never did anything.
you wouldn't say you were friends. No, I thought you did. I thought because you said you weren't friends, but you'd seen him around.
Oh,
or something.
I see him around in the record. I still see him. He still goes out and sees music. He's a regular guy too, and he loves music.
Yeah.
He loves music. I was always kind of angered by the fact that Aerosmith made it so bigger than Giles. And I thought the Jay Giles band was the real talent. I thought Aerosmith was a lot of hot air. That's what I thought. I know a lot of people love Aerosmith, and a lot of people are going to say, no, you don't know what you're talking about, dude. I kind of do. Aerosmith got pushed very heavily in 1973 by Max Ann on WBCN, pushed way beyond the limits. Just you heard them all the time. If you got a DJ behind you pushing, and the airwaves are king, you're going to get more exposure. And people say, yeah, they rocked. Bad Boys of Boston and all that. I just thought it was a bunch of BS. I thought the Giles band was the real thing. And they put on an amazing show. And Wolfie used to listen to my show, and he called it a couple times, usually to correct me. That's fine. He's a freak. He's a music freak. He's crazy about it. So and I was honored that he even took the trouble to call me. So and he's still around town. Yeah, he's still around. Yep. You see him,
Yes,
here
I've
and
seen
there.
him a couple times.
I've seen him in the Lizard Lounge. I've seen him. Yeah, the Lizard Lounge in Cambridge, which is a tiny little place, but good music, good live music there. So yeah, he comes there to see like Duke Levine and some of the locals that are really highly respected around here. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were second to none live act by far.
Did you see them live?
They were. I've seen them a couple times live. And
Yeah,
they were
spectacular.
fantastic
Peter
both
Wolf, they
times.
were great, and they had a great.
And that was after their prime. That was not like in the 70s when they were really
Talking about
kicking
the
ass.
freeze frame centerfold period.
Exactly. That was during those eras.
It was over for me by that time.
Even
It was
later.
over for me by that time. I thought their first 4 albums were nothing short of spectacular. Spectacular.
Yeah, they were bluesy, right?
Soul,
they were
R&B,
bluesy,
soul, and rockin'. They kind of melded it all together. I mean, they were white boys, and they never pretended they weren't, but they had soul. Peter Wolf grew up listening to that stuff in New York, and he exposed some of that early Giles stuff exposed us to songs that were originally done that we did that at least I, as a white kid growing up in the suburbs, didn't know. Like First I Look at the Purse. I didn't know that was originally done on Motown by the Contours. Homework was originally done by Otis Rush. I didn't know that. Ain't Nothing But a House Party was originally done by the Showstoppers. Never heard that record.
Is that
Yeah,
right?
but now I've got all these records, the ones that the Giles did covered. I've got the original versions of, but I wouldn't have known about them if it wasn't for Jay Giles. So that that was a serious band, and they deserve serious props, and way more so than Aerosmith, in my opinion, which I have plenty of, obviously. So kudos to Giles. They did it for a lot of people. I'm glad you had a chance to see them. And, nothing wrong with that freeze frame centerfold stuff. They were still doing it back then. But I was, had kind of, I was in a different listening mode at that point. That's all. That's all that was.
Yeah, and the good thing that I thought about the Giles band was that the freeze frame, the centerfold, those songs, they became popular, so it allowed more people to hear the older stuff as well.
Absolutely.
Because I didn't get into the older stuff, which I would argue is better than freeze
Thank
frame
you.
and centerfold. I would. Being honest, I love them both, but if I had to, like in concert, give me a house party all day
Right.
long. All
I'm the
day
same
long.
way.
They're
I'm the
amazing.
same
Whamma Jammer, Must Have Got Lost live is crazy.
know.
It's absolutely
You
crazy.
know the deal.
I have a video on my phone. I saw him at the by the seaport, not the half shell. What's it called? The seaport. The
It used
it's
to be
the
called Harbor
pavilion.
Lights once upon a time.
Yeah, exactly. And he was doing his Must Have Got Lost monologue, and he went through the crowd, and he walked right by me. I patted him on the shoulder, and he walked right by me. And I, for some reason, I wanted to film that monologue, and he literally, I was on the aisle seat because I went by myself, and he just walked right up. This is fantastic. I'll never forget it, and I can't because I have it on my phone. But it was amazing. He was just such a performer. The whole band. I don't know if somebody was missing then. I forget if somebody had died at that point, but
Was it the Giles?
Jay
Was
Giles
it the Giles band?
it was. Yeah, it wasn't Peter Wolf. It was
What
Jay
year
Giles
was it?
band. But so
Do you remember?
I don't. I gotta say the before 2010 ish maybe,
Okay.
or maybe
I feel-
maybe
I,
not.
I think, Jay Giles himself died.
Maybe that's right. That's right. So he was there. So maybe it was between 2000 and 2010 at some point. But
Yeah.
they were still good. They were still really, really good. I don't remember.
He's
the
got the
dates.
energy.
I don't.
He's got the energy. He's got his band now called the Midnight Travelers, and they
Oh, wow.
yeah, and they still not with COVID, but they were still out there performing. They got interviewed on this radio show that I was telling you about, Boston Public Radio. Peter gets interviewed every time he puts out a new album. He gets interviewed on that show because he's a Boston institution.
Yeah, absolutely. I was at a Springsteen concert at the Garden, and they were doing the encore, and they did Bruce. I don't know if you've been to a Springsteen concert, but they're insane. And he did a couple songs, and then all of a sudden they're phenomenal. But they were doing every band member walked off the stage except for the drummer who was just keeping the beat. And then one by one they'd walk back on, and then Peter Wolf comes out and they sing "Love That Dirty Water," and the place just erupted.
yeah.
Like you didn't even have to say his name. Just
Right.
here he is, and he's doing his the shimmies he does.
He's the
It
king.
was just
He's the king of Boston
he was
that way.
yeah, he was
I
phenomenal.
saw the same thing at an Elvis Costello show. He came on.
Is that right?
And I'm a massive Elvis Costello fan. He came on during the Costello show, and it was fantastic. Just to see the two of them up there doing it. They weren't ego tripping. They were just doing it. You know what I mean? So that
Right.
was great. Yeah, Wolfie. He makes appearances and stuff like that, and it adds to the flavor. It definitely does.
Sure, it does.
I've never
I
seen
mean, I was
Bruce.
like to see Springsteen.
I listened to we were in California last year, just before COVID. Kat and I went out to California. We rented a car in LA and took it to Palm Springs, and it had satellite radio, which I'd never listened to. I never listened to satellite radio. Most people, I guess, have. I never did, and I found Little Steven's Underground Garage channel.
Yes,
You ever heard that?
yes. Sure.
What a great channel!
Sure.
What a great
Yeah.
channel!
Yeah.
And Little Steven, of course, Stevie Van Zandt plays for the Springsteen.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Sure does.
and the Silvio,
Yeah, Dante. Yeah.
Sopranos, yeah.
I said my piece, Chrissy. He's great. The Sopranos. Springsteen once did that. He introduced the band. He goes, "Little Steve, you know him, you love him from the star of the Sopranos." His build up is. I can't believe you've never seen a Springsteen concert. It's so great.
I have
It's
never.
you don't even have to be a fan of his music.
I
It's just that the concert is.
I just
is
ordered.
just unbelievable.
Just got in the mail my favorite Springsteen 45 of all time. This is my favorite.
Which I've probably never heard of. Which
10th
one is it?
Avenue Freeze Out. 10th Avenue.
Oh, that's
1970.
great
See the
song.
date there. 1975. 10th Avenue Freeze Out. That's my favorite. That's my favorite Springsteen song. And
Have you heard it live? Have you heard it live off a CD or anything? Because
No,
live is
no.
just.
no, I have not.
It's such a different song. So
10th
good.
Avenue Freeze Out's different. What do
I
you,
went.
what do you
Oh,
mean?
it's just more energy. It's live. He crushes it. I saw him after Clarence Clemens passed away, and his Clemens' nephew or son, I think it's his nephew Jake, took over the sax, and they were doing the 10th. I haven't. I actually filmed it because I heard about it. I saw that at the Garden too. It might have been the same concert. I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
they went down and they did this moment of silence, like it started the band. It was an amazing tribute to Clarence because they just sat there and held it. You knew what the next thing was, the saxophone.
He's
They
gone,
didn't
right?
start
Clarence
right away.
gone? Clarence is gone, right?
Clarence passed, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, his nephew. My mother will correct me. It's either the son or nephew. She's looking it up now. But Jay Clemens is part of the band. He took over. So
Yeah.
it was really good. It was amazing. It's just live. It's just there's a whole crowd participation.
Oh, I know Bruce Springsteen live concert. I mean, he was playing here. He played at a place in Cambridge called Joe's Place in 1970. It was either late 72 or early 73, and no one knew who he was. It was a blues club, Joe's Place, over near Inman Square in Cambridge, where you lived at one point. And I don't remember the exact location. I wasn't there. Like I said, I've never seen Bruce Springsteen live, but the show got a lot of buzz. And it was only shortly thereafter that John Landau came out with his famous statement, which I'm sure you remember it. I have seen the future of rock and roll, and his name is Bruce Springsteen. And John Landau is from my hometown of Lexington. And
is that right?
Yeah. And he became a big deal in the music industry. And his brother David is a phenomenal guitarist, and a good friend of my buddy Jack, whom you've met. This is my latest find. I'm really proud to have found the Untouchable Machine Shop, an instrumental called Machine Shop. I mean, I'm sure you've never heard it. I'm sure nobody watching this has ever heard it, but I got it. I got it.
That reminds me of, didn't Lou Reed have one more album on his contract and he made nothing but machine music, like machine noise, to fulfill that obligation?
The album was called Machine. I think it was.
Yeah, and that's what it reminded me of. It was just all metallic noise, no song. Just that's how he fulfilled his obligation, his contractual obligation.
Yeah.
Have
you been
got to respect that. It's kind of
watching these music documentaries on Prime. There's a bunch of them.
no.
There's a really good one on the New York Dolls, on the New York punk scene. There's I don't know if you're.
I've heard of them actually.
Just to know history, if nothing, the history, if nothing else. There's just some really spectacular, well done documentaries on Prime, Amazon Prime. Yeah, I've stumbled into them.
I have that. I watched the Go-Go's on Showtime. They had one that was really good.
The Go-Go's?
It chronicled there. Yeah, it was a really good. Because I grew up with.
Yeah,
them,
we
so
got the beat. I remember.
Understood. Yeah, but I've heard of the New York Dolls, so I would.
That's
check
David
that out.
Johansen.
Documentary.
David Johansen.
Buster Poindexter.
Exactly.
The Animals.
The Animals. What do you mean?
Yeah, wasn't he the lead singer of the Animals? We got to get out of this place.
That's Eric
Wasn't that
Burden.
Johansson?
It was Eric Burden. No, Poindexter was the lead singer of the New York Dolls. They weren't that well known internationally. They were they were actually bigger in Europe than they were in this country because they cross-dressed. You know, they were part of the early glam rock thing where like the Bowie and all those kind of the Sweet and bands like that, the glam kind of unisex look. And, you know, red-blooded American boys just don't put up with that crap, you know. And they were having a blast doing it and making it a lot of fun. But, you know, this is America, and the spectrum of people in this country that have a real issue with people that do that kind of thing. It's too great to make somebody like them succeed. But they put out some fabulous rockin' music. The New York Dolls, yep, and good
It's on Prime. Wow,
Personality
I'll watch that.
Crisis and Pills. Good, interesting songs. So it's fun. Yeah.
Is that a whole series they're doing, or is that just so it's like
No.
an hour of each band?
No, it's just a documentary here, a documentary there. Just go down to the documentary section, find your first music one. Once you watch one that you're interested in,
You hooked?
it'll start showing you. You know how it works. It'll start
Because you
showing you
watched
what
this,
other
here's
ones
this.
are there because they know you. Because you like this, you might like this kind of thing. Which and I got onto a streak of that during lockdown. So I can't tell you how many hours of TV I watched. I don't even want to go there. But my chair, let's put it this way.
You're not alone.
My
though.
chair is worn where my fat ass sat for hours on end.
Time for a new chair.
I know I had just gotten the chair a year and a half ago, so you go.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, it's comfortable. It's a recliner.
You broke it in. That's what you're
I
doing.
really
I
did.
like that.
I really did.
No, it's funny. I just want to just go back to this whole spring thing. One more thing, because I have to admit something. I was always the guy who said about Dave Matthews Band, if you don't like their studio stuff, it's not fair because live is so much better. And so someone told me, well, that's the way it is with Springsteen. So I said, all right, I got to practice what I preach. I'll go see Springsteen. Blown away. They're just live like, I'm not a huge fan of his catalog. I mean, I like his stuff, but I'd never listen to it ad nauseum.
I'm the same way
to
about
see it
Springsteen.
live-
I'm the same way about Springsteen. Yeah.
But if you saw him live, it's so
I've
much.
heard.
I'm not pushing you to go, obviously, but it really is that much. It's night and day. It's night and day.
Yeah, I
So
don't
much
have I don't have the much tolerance for the huge shows. We went to see Jethro Tull down at. It was called Harbor Lights when it had a real name. Now, of course, it's named after some bank or corporation.
A bank, yeah.
Don't get me started on that because I hate that it's named after corporations. I hate it. Not because I'm an old fart, which I am. It's because it's not the way to name a place that you go to see performances. You don't want to associate it with the world of business. But then again, they give the money and they maintain it. I don't know. But how did they live before they named them corporations? They were still there. They maintained them before. Yeah. I mean, Boston Garden was nothing to look at, but
Great Woods, perfect example. Great Woods. It's exactly. Many names. People still call it Great Woods.
Yeah, I do. I don't know.
But for the record, I think
it's called the Comcast Center now. I think that's
Xfinity Center.
Xfinity.
It's not even Comcast anymore. Now it's Xfinity Center. Okay. Yeah, Xfinity
Which
Theater.
Isn't even a word.
But for the record,
which isn't even a word. The word is infinity, or Xbox. It's not Xfinity. That's the other thing. They're naming these companies words that don't exist in the language, and the language itself is getting morphed into something that I'm finding it harder to recognize all the time. I'm trying to buy a new TV and sound system for the living room. Oh God. And I'm going through Best Buy, and my God, the specs. Well, you don't want to have. I can't even get started because I've already spent 3 hours talking to these technicians. I know what I want. I just don't want to spend the money they want for what I want. I'm trying to get.
There it is.
It's really expensive. The system I want, they quoted me a price $16,000. I said $16,000. I can buy a car. I don't need to. Not a new one. I can buy a car for $16,000, and then they're going to send some guys out to put it in. $1,500 for installation. I'm like, $1,500. Last time I moved, it cost me $2,000. They moved the whole house, everything in the house. They packed it, and moved it, and unloaded it at the new house for $2,000.
For the record, I just want to be said that I didn't get you started. You told me not to get you started. I didn't. You did that.
I'm just ranting because I have a chance to do it here. That's all.
That's right. So really, did you shop around for that, or did you just go to Best Buy and that's it? Because
I went to
that's a lot of money.
Well, I want a lot of speaker.
Apparently, I hope so because
I'm not
that's
spending.
crazy.
I'm not even going to spend half that if I get my way, because it just I can't fathom spending that kind of money to watch television because that's all you're doing in the
Yeah.
end. Cool. So I'll keep you posted on what goes on with that.
I hope you do because I am interested. Plus, I want to see it because sounds amazing. If you're being quoted at 16,000 for this
It's
thing.
pretty amazing. I mean, they have some amazing stuff out there now, and the definition, the high def of TV is just improving all the time. All the time.
Yeah.
So,
Were you looking at 4K?
that's all there is. They're trying to get me into 8K.
Pretty much,
They're
right?
trying
Yeah.
to get me into 8K.
8K.
I say, what do I need 8K for? They go, well, in 10 years, when the programming's all in 8K, you'll be happy you did it. I said, well, in 10 years,
They'll be
I'll buy
12K
an
by then.
8K. I'm not going to buy it now for something that doesn't exist. I bought a high def TV when they were still broadcasting in analog, and everybody would look like
Yeah.
this, flattened face.
Right.
For the first year I watched the stupid thing. So, you know what I'm saying?
I do.
Yeah.
I saw the transition too. Everything became widescreen, and they had to fit. Your video has been fitted to format, and so they're smushed together. And
Yeah,
no, it's amazing. And now they have 4K, but not everything's caught up to 4K yet.
not everything.
So
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah. No, we're looking
for a little while. It's
at a 4K.
yeah, because now they
We're looking at a 4K, and the TV I liked cost $4,000 just for the TV. Last time I bought a TV, it was like $800. I'm thinking 4,000. What the hell does that TV do?
yeah, that's
It looks like $1 million. It's big. It's 65 inches. It's got a mid-range speaker built right into it. So, and then the speakers I'm looking at are beyond belief. They're made by the same people. I can't remember the name of the company. Not Bang and Olufsen. It's a company that did the speakers in the Abbey Road studios. That's their claim to fame. They've been around since 1966, and they're state of the art. The minute I heard them, I said, "Those are the speakers for me." Okay, well, they're $1,500 each. I'm like, okay, yeah,
that I want half of one.
yeah, right. And I'll let you know how the drama ends.
Yeah.
We'll have you up here over the summer when the weather gets warmer. And
Yeah, I saw you had pictures. You were on the deck the other day. I saw the deck. It looks good.
yeah, I like putting deck pics. A friend of mine called them.
That's good. See,
Pics.
that vowel is
Deck
crucial to that
You want
sentence.
to look at your deck.
But it's a huge deck.
She likes it.
It's definitely spelling is important. It does matter. Yes,
It
yes, it does.
is, exactly. But you and Bonnie will have to
That's
talk.
great.
It's been a while.
Yes, absolutely.
So we done here or what?
Yeah. Well, apparently,
No.
I don't want to get started on something else. No, we've
But
covered.
if you have anything else you want to talk about, I'm happy to do it. But
No, I was just gonna. No, we've covered it. We've gone at least an hour and a half. I think.
Yeah, I think an hour and a half,
It's fine.
yeah.
No, it's fine. I know you want to get walking. I'm walking.
Yeah,
I'm talking. Macaulay talking.
Lose my mojo, and my belly will become that much softer. That's kind of how it is these days.
All right. So just to recap, your promoting not that you're promoting, but if anyone wants to, if they haven't heard of you for some reason, and your page, it's Dirty Old Boston, straight up Dirty Old Boston.
Photos
on
of Boston before 2000. Photos of Boston before 2000 from all the neighborhoods. There's a post nearly every single day on Facebook and on Instagram at Dirty Old Boston. One word.
Great.
Yeah, Facebook.
Okay, that's important. So no spaces, just Dirty Old Boston.
Facebook.com/Dirty Old Boston. Give the page a like, and I don't overpost. I put a picture up almost every day, and it'll come up in your feed, and you can like it or comment on it or just look at it. That's all it is.
That is true. You don't overpost. I do appreciate that because sometimes it gets annoying when people are flooding you with 40,000 things.
Exactly.
It's like I need to see all of it at once.
Yeah.
So I do appreciate that. I know I'm a little biased, but it is true. You don't.
I did it first, and I got told by a couple of people, "You're flooding my inbox. Slow down." And I took the advice to heart, and I keep it that way.
Yeah, too much is never a good thing, I guess.
Yeah, too much of a
Unless
good.
you're talking about deck picks. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, I got a whole supply of deck pics here. I just because it took us 3 years to build that thing. That's a whole nother
Yeah, it
story.
came out
I'll
good.
tell you that when you come out
Oh,
and sit
boy.
on the thing.
That's right.
When you sit on my deck,
Well,
you'll
thank
hear
you.
the whole picture.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Jim Botticelli. I appreciate it. And Jim, hang on for a second
Sure.
after I stop
It was
this.
a pleasure. It was a real pleasure. Thank you for inviting me to do this.